Yes, it's time. We found one champion of Milan. We need to find a second. And it will be one of two who find themselves great friends, now turned rivals. It's Labobo versus Gelali. Who will be the first mobile champion of the season? Gelali in the all-changed white strip with the red cursor, attacking from right to left. Labobo from Spain. In that home strip, blue cursor, whereas we saw them earlier, it was an absolute barn burner. Plenty of goals. Something tells me this one will be a little bit closer, given what is at stake.
Yeah, it always is the way, is that the more that pressure is on, the more it kind of ramps up. And then I think we're going to see the best of these two. I certainly think that Labobo, I think, has a slight mental edge. Knowing that you've scored that many goals, yes, you came out the losing side of it against Gelali, but feel as though that you know that you can get at your opponent. It's worth its weight in gold.
Yeah, despite the game earlier, I believe it was 4-3, wasn't it, in favour of Gelali. Despite the mobile games and chances coming few and far between, these two very, very clinical. So anytime it gets into a dangerous area, we're expecting them to capitalise. Here is Gelali, the man who came out on top earlier in this exact fixture in the group stages. But don't forget, when he played against Rentao, did not go his way, and in fact went so against him that he surrendered the top of the group to his good friend Labobo 7 here, Wes, as, well, the man we're talking about is threatening maybe to break through the lines. Yeah,
the key bit about that, which I only realised after I saw this game kick off, is that if you finish top of your group, you have the first kick. Now, granted, a lot of people might go, well, kick off, Wes, it's not that valuable. Trust me, in terms of a mentality, in terms of having that first opportunity, knowing that you have possession of the ball, it's 9/10 of the law. So if you give that ball away in that opening stage, that's on you, but you have first dibs on having the ball in the first real opportunity.
Yeah, it's also thrown me for a loop because we're so used to seeing Gelali in the home strip, having followed his group stage matches. But seeing him in the white shirt, white shorts, white socks, it's a bit of a culture shock. But it is as cagey as we anticipated here. We're 35 minutes in, and there's barely been a chance between the two that scored 7 between them in the group stages. That is how nervy and tense this affair will play out. Modric across the halfway line for Labobo 7. Just waiting for the challenge, waiting for some backup here as well, maybe. And Kunku tries to feed his man on the overlap. Manyan called into action. It's almost half-time here, Wes. There is no minutes added on, and Gelali will be looking to try and capitalise out of his possession, but just like that, the first half ends 0-0, no shots.
Yeah, that's the speed of a mobile game that I'm actually used to, because quite frankly, in the first game that we saw, there were stoppages galore because of the amount of goals that were scored. That has gone by in the blink of an eye, and again, I know that I tried to manifest extra time penalties in the console final, but the way that the makeup of the mobile game is, especially with how tight these games can be, if there's no goal, I would say in 90 minutes, extra time goes very, very quickly, and I think you can then get into that lottery of a penalty shootout.
I mean, this is so bizarre to see, just purely based on the fact Gelali in game 1 against Sakti won 3-2, that's 5 goals. Against Labobo, it was 4-3, that's 7 goals. And then, was it 4-1 against Rentao, 4-2? Plenty of goals were scored in his group stage campaign, but we've not seen any shots, let alone goals here in the final of Mobile. We're underway in the second half. Jalali still the red cursor attacking the right-hand goal.
As I've said to you on many of occasions, Harry, that pressure does funny things to people when they're in front of the lights.
Oh, nice double touch from Leao. And whenever you see that purple power bar, you know there's a bit of extra fizz and zing on the input, be it a cross, a pass, or a strike. First touches here of the second half for Labobo. As these two mentioned, they're great friends. Sometimes it's really difficult, psychologically almost impossible, when you know at this stage your adversary is someone that you know well but also knows you well.
Yeah, and that kind of, you know, if you're sparring partners or you're training partners, it can be a detriment as much of a help. Yes, you'll pick up tips and tricks from your training partners, but the reality is, of course, is that you then know each other's game very much inside and out, and you don't really have many cards left to play when it gets to this type of occasion.
Something tells me this final could just come down to one piece of brilliance. Will it come the Moroccan's way, or will it be the Spaniard who's caught offside that will produce it? You can almost feel the tension, can't you, Wes, through the screen. It's radiating out of this final.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we've seen plenty of different things with mobile players as well. You talk about, you know, sweaty thumbs, and I know as much as people make light of it, you know, we've seen people use chalk, we've seen people use kind of like almost gloves for your fingers. There's all different types of tricks just to make sure that their inputs are pinpoint. But you could imagine just shaky hands, pressure, your heart rate spiking, your thoughts racing. There's so many different things you've got to control, and you've got to kind of almost be emotionally mature about it.
15 minutes left. And Kunku here for Jalali. Over the top towards Leao. Forces Tamori into a defensive action, and that will be a corner. Is that piece of brilliance I was alluding to on the horizon here? First real chance for us as well, Les, to look at some of the team setups we've seen throughout the group stages. Jalali's makeup, and obviously we saw Labobo as well, but it's surprising for me to almost see them maintain the same formation at this point. Maybe you would elect to change things up a bit, but I suppose the ball hasn't really gone out of play. Yeah,
I mean, they haven't really had the avenue to make any change. I think shape-wise and organisation-wise, you know, 5-2-3 as it or 5-3-2 as it appears in the game, dependent on how far forward you push that central figure of either be Luka Modric. You can see that the difference with Rafael Leao being pushed forward, it makes it a 5-2-3, but with that makeup on mobile, it seems to be a little bit more of a formation that's becoming a little bit more in vogue. Is playing 5-3-2 or 5-2-3, because it does give you the freedom of playing attacking wing back should you want to, but you can also set your two players on, you know, I think it's defensive, so you could potentially have them hang back. There is a bit more flexibility in it, especially within mobile. You probably won't see too much in console. I think it's defensive, so you could potentially have them hang back. There is a bit more flexibility in it, especially within mobile. You probably won't see too much in console, because I think there's a bit more freedom with your 4-3-3s, your 4-3-2-1s of the world. But I think here it's starting to become more prominent as a overpowered formation. It certainly seems to be leaning more towards a meta formation.
Definitely something to keep an eye on. I just wonder if we will see a European winner of a mobile club event finals. I'm trying to cast my mind back as to the last time we saw it. I don't think we have ever seen a European winner. I think the closest was Abduch a couple of seasons ago, of course, from Belgium. So
yeah, I think the majority of mobile winners, it's either been through It's either been through Africa in Morocco, or it's been through, your Asia West or Asia East, and other areas in Oceania. It's like you say, you're kind of hoping, at least from if you have a European head on, you're kind of hoping that somebody comes through, breaks the mould, and really kind of breaks it down. And Lobobo is as close as anybody at the moment.
Substitution for Milan.
He is indeed hoping to follow in the footsteps of some of those Spanish greats. Mestre, Alexander Field,
Coming on the field,
Palmer, Jose Etal. They're all great in their own rights. But he needs to defend this corner first, and does so seemingly successfully. Rabiot is the outlet now in the latter stages of this second half of the grand final. Which way will the last chance fall? We're getting into that territory where the last chance could be the one that tells the story. 5 minutes left. Otherwise, we're heading to extra time and penalties, as we did with the console final. Penalties not needed on that occasion, of course, but extra time was on the menu.
Yeah, I think with as we've mentioned already, the speed in which this game ticks down, you're more likely to see the latter of those two things rather than the former. You might not see it end in extra time, you might see it end in penalties, which in and of itself is a cruel way to separate these two.
Would be cruel, but they're here for our entertainment. Gilali over the top towards Pulisic. Oh, there wasn't anyone waiting there.
2 added minutes has been indicated.
2 minutes added on. And a dangerous cross fizzed across the face of goal is met by no one.
That's got any touch on it, Harry, that's game over. Anybody there to arrive in a white shirt, that is done. Instead, we are heading to extra time.
They say you should...
It's as you were, 0-0 between Lobobo and Gilali here in the Mobile Grand Final. Lobobo in the black and red, Gilali in the white strip, if you had forgotten. It's been a while since we last saw this ball rolling across the virtual pitch, but we're finally now back underway. Our players are ready. And who will be the decisive victor here? And Kunku with that stunning strike attempt, that's blocked.
Yeah, it's gone for a corner, and again, you talk about like things where they've just been waiting and they've been preparing for this extra time period. We talk about it a lot in terms of adrenaline dump, is that slight delay, how much is that going to play the part here? Because you've got to get yourself back up again and go again, and of course you're zeroing in potentially on some extra time here, as well as that dreaded penalty shootout if it goes that far.
And cleared at the front post, and Kunku will put it back into the mixer. Gilali starting as he finished the 90 minutes, as he's the one that is on the front foot. Leao with a nice fake shot, almost in at the front post there. Magnan saves, pushes it round, and it's a corner.
Yeah, that was a big moment, a big opportunity. Still not danger gone though, with the set piece due. It could still be a problem here. Potentially the last big chance of the first period of extra time. Into the mixer. Cleared away. And it's 0-0 after 105 minutes of play.
Now on sale in the stadium hall.
How do we separate these? How do we separate these two? It's not destined to go to penalties, is it, Wes?
I mean, I know one way to separate them, just let them play all night. That'd be great. No, in all seriousness, it feels like it's very much careering to a penalty shootout. It very much feels like it's going that direction, unless there is a moment of brilliance in these final stages of this extra time period, where we'll be seeing ourselves a penalty shootout to decide who goes on to the World Finals to represent AC Milan.
Well, it was Huda in 2025. The year before it was Joy Boy. This year it has to be Labobo or it has to be Jalali. And something tells me they still won't be separated in the next 15 in-game minutes, whereas we have a second period of extra time to try and find that separating goal.
Coming on the field, number 12.
Will it come?
Rabio.
Or will we
7,
be forced
Santiago Jimenez.
to find a winner
Substitution.
via a penalty shootout? 10 minutes left here already, whereas that's how quick the action goes down, and Labobo hasn't really had anything to write home about in the previous 115 minutes or so of eFootball mobile play. It has been all Jalali.
Maybe that's been the tactic, Harry. Maybe it's a case that it's just a case of nullify what your opponent can do, drag them into the trenches, and then spring a surprise when they least expect it.
Well, that one has trickled out agonisingly. And we may get one more big chance in the mobile final. Maybe, just maybe. Is this where Labobo will spring the trap after waiting for so long? He might just get the last attack here of the final, and Kunku forward. Rafael into the box. Oh, he's beaten his man as well. It's stood up. But it is cleared, and we are headed to a penalty shootout between Labobo and Jalali to decide who will represent AC Milan. Will it be the Moroccan? Will it be the Spaniard? Either way, it will be drama.
It will. It absolutely will, as we get ourselves prepared for penalty kicks.
Of course, if I'm not mistaken, I believe on mobile you can only go left, middle or right, so we're essentially in a game of hold your nerve. Up first, it's Labobo and he misses.
That's an important save to start with from Jalali. Yeah, you're quite right. Depends on the type of controller you play. If you're playing with touch and flick, it depends on how hard you flick the screen, is how high it can go. But I think in this particular moment, as you rightly said, right, left or centre, take your pick.
Well, having just saved a penalty, Jalali tucks his one home with real confidence. Advantage to the Moroccan here in the shootout. That heaps all the pressure over to Labobo 7. That timer is ticking down. He'll have to take his penalty within that timer. The owl steps up and it's saved again.
I think even with the piece of gamesmanship, still wasn't convincing.
Well, with a chance to make it 2-0 in the shootout. Pulisic will step up here, and as cool as you like, will convert his penalty.
Yeah, it's a nice penalty there. It gives Jalali a 2-0 lead here.
No waiting this time, and Kunku stepping up neatly into the bottom left.
Yeah, Labobo finally on the board in this shootout. He's going to need a couple saves or a miss or two.
Rafael down the middle and guessed correctly by Labobo. There is that save.
I was told once upon a time that it takes a brave person to go down the middle twice in a shootout. It's a very important spot kick.
Labobo to even up the shootout. Rabio tucks it home.
Now, for those keeping score at home, Labobo does need another stop to keep himself in it. It isn't gain point by any stretch, but a big save.
We'll see what Modric does at this penalty. Oh, he converts his. So Labobo needs to score. As of course he took the first spot kick in this shootout. Needs to score, and does. And for needing to score, he now needs to save Jalali on championship point here. It'll be the left foot of Rabiot to potentially send the Moroccan to the World Finals, and does so. Jalali, after a marathon day, puts Morocco back on the eFootball map. We have another Moroccan mobile champion. His name is Jalali.
Yeah, it's a wonderful, again, bit of mentality from him in the penalty shootout. Needed to convert when the moments mattered and did so brilliantly. Saved 2 penalties to start proceedings there, and that really just gave him that bit more confidence to carry it through.
Yeah, indeed. It's never fun having to step on your friend's head, essentially, to make it to a World Championship. But I hope that's not in the mind of the 22-year-old Moroccan, Zakaria Jalali. Took a long time to get us to extra time, as the players just wanted to make sure they were absolutely ready to proceed. But in the end, it took penalties to separate the two friends. And it's the 22-year-old Moroccan, Jalali, our East Asia and Oceania regional winner, who will represent AC Milan at the World Finals. What a story.
Yeah, he got dragged into the trenches by Lobobo, but came out the victor. That looked to be just getting into those moments, but these are the key moments, the real key moments.
It's very rare, Wes, when you miss the first 2 spot kicks in a penalty shootout, that you're able to come out and convert it into a good result. He tried his best, Lobobo. And again, 17 years of age, he will have a bright future ahead of him. But there's confirmation, your mobile champion, Jalali.